on one of thousands of high streets where he was welcomed by brass bands and cheering crowds. In Accrington today, the appreciation was quieter, more low-key, but also, for some, with a newfound awareness of his influence on young lives today.
Well, I think that it's a brilliant legacy that he's left behind. I hope it keeps going after, for years to come.
Obviously, it's very upset that he's passed away, and it kind of hit home a bit, thinking if it weren't for him, none of this would have happened, and I wouldn't have kind of had his experience.
At 17, Harrison's at college in Blackburn. He told me, before doing the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, he doubted himself and was shy.
It's probably the most amazing thing I've ever kind of done. I've loved every bit of it, and it kind of made me a stronger person, kind of mentally, physically, to step up and think, yeah, I can do this, I'm confident now, and just made me give me a bit more of a enjoyment of being outside.
It's no accident adventure and the joy of being outside were at the heart of the youth programme started by the Duke of Edinburgh in the 1950s. This is him riding across the sands at Morecambe Bay, the first person to do this in more than 100 years, and he was in his 60s at the time.
You don't normally drive across the sands.
Was it enjoyable though?
Well, apart from the noise, you can't hear yourself think.
The list of charities and societies he supported is long and filled with world-renowned good causes. But right at the top of the list is an organisation barely heard of, even in the town it takes its name from. You're not a big club, are you?
No, we've got 36 members at the most. Since nobody from Aberdeen, Abergavenny or Aberavon have made the Prince a member of their society, Accrington Camera Club heads the list. Which is wonderful, because even though people might get fed up after the first few lines, Accrington Camera Club, first mentioned, sticks in the memory.
A letter sent in the 1970s by Accrington Camera Club to Buckingham Palace resulted in wildlife photos taken by the Duke of Edinburgh being loaned and displayed in their local art gallery. I asked Harry if he had any photos from the opening. Apparently no one thought to take any at the time. They did gain a new honorary club member though.
It's become quite, a novelty that he is not a sponsor, he is not a patron, he is a member. So that gives us some quite wonderful bragging rights over some of our neighbouring clubs. To my surprise, the Duke has continued this association, even albeit at a distance, with Accrington Camera Club. So it was rather sad yesterday when the news came through from the Palace at somewhere 12:30 that he'd finally passed away.
At Accrington Academy, and so keen to talk about the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, they went into school on a Saturday in their school uniform. These teenagers are at the beginning of the scheme, working towards their bronze and still getting used to some of the realities of it.
It was a lot colder.
A lot colder?
Yeah.
Go on, tell me what you mean.
It was raining the whole time.
What was this that you were doing?
We were camping.
It's given me more fun and time to do stuff with friends outside of school.
I'd say it's his legacy because he's built it, it's been around for so long, and now it should continue.
He's done a lot more than we thought he had. I just thought we were just the Queen's husband, but he's actually done a lot more for the country than we all thought.
Claire Fallon reporting. Well, as we heard there, the Duke of Edinburgh's award schemes remained an enduring legacy. Since being founded in 1956, the scheme has seen over 3 million participants achieve awards here in the UK. In the year to March 2020, over a quarter of 14-year-olds in the UK started a Bronze Duke of Edinburgh award. Globally, over 1 million young people in more than 130 countries are currently involved in its programmes. Well, I'm joined now by Hannah Cockroft, the Paralympian wheelchair sprinter, who credits taking part in the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. She's a gold award holder with her success in later life. Hannah, thank you very much for coming on the programme. Tell us about how you got introduced to the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme and how tough it was.
Yeah, so I got involved with the Duke of Edinburgh award through school. I was 14 years old and I was the only disabled person doing it in my area, so something new for everyone to get their heads around, and something massive for me. You know, it massively pushed me out of my comfort zone. One of the sections of the Duke of Edinburgh is to do a physical skill. At the time, I didn't play any sports, so I had to take up a sport, and yeah, well, here we are. So you could probably credit the Duke of Edinburgh for my success in the Paralympics, because without that, I probably wouldn't have taken up any of the sports that I did.
So it changed your life in many ways.
Yeah, massively. And I think for me, you know, another part is the expedition, the hike that you have to do. I did my bronze award, so it was only one night, thankfully. But at the time, I hated my wheelchair. I hated kind of anything that made me look different, and I couldn't get around the hike on my feet. I couldn't rely on other people to get me there. So I had to learn new skills. I had to get out. I had to use my wheelchair and become comfortable with it. And that was just life-changing for me. Again, I'm just so much more confident now, and I'm so much more independent because of that time that I spent learning to use the chair and getting out and just being comfortable in myself.
It sounds comfortable the way you describe it now, but it must have been really hard at the time.
At the time, it was something completely different. Like I said, I was the only disabled person, and no one really knew how well I was going to do and if I would be able to complete the challenge. But I did, and it was just life-changing. I know so many people have said it, but I think just that whole time I learned new skills. I had to learn to communicate with new people. I had to ask for help, which was a big thing for me. I hate asking people for help, but there's no harm in doing it. And I learned just so much throughout the whole challenge.
And did you ever get to meet him when you got your gold award?
So yeah, I luckily got to meet the Duke of Edinburgh after both Paralympic Games, after London and after Rio. And I also had the privilege of handing out gold awards a few times now. So I have had the privilege of meeting him a few times. And he just puts everyone he meets so at ease. He was always so interested in everybody's stories, everything that they could tell you. You know, the young people that do the Duke of Edinburgh Award are amazing. And some of the things they can tell you from their awards just take your breath away. And he took the time to make sure he heard every single story, which was just amazing.
And he listened to yours as well?
He did. Well, he was amazing with me. The first time I met him, because I'm a wheelchair user, he was really interested in how he should address me in terms of, he asked me, should I crouch down, or I want to make eye contact with you and I want to be level with you. So do I crouch down? Do I stand up? How do you want me to do this? And I mean, everyday people don't even consider that. I don't even consider that. I just talk to people. So the fact that he even thought about it and thought, you know, I want to be on a level playing field with this girl was just phenomenal. The fact that he'd give the time to thoughts like that.
That's so interesting. I mean, of course, the scheme is also a great social leveller, whichever, you know, school you've gone to, whether it's Eton or, you know, or somewhere less illustrious. It brings everyone together, gives you the same challenges. How do you think the scheme will fare without him at the head?
I think hopefully the scheme will just hold its legacy now. I think it's such a well-renowned name and everybody knows about it. And so many young people do want to get involved. It really can make massive changes. So if anyone's watching that wants to try it, then go for it because it's so much fun. But I think from now, you know, the award can only go up.